Hello.
Hello. So we're doing you, as promised, a bit of a just letting you know how things go and what it's like driving in France, and just putting you some information together because a few people had asked for that. So
We're going to talk about what you need,
yeah,
legal requirements, speed limits,
how to keep to the speed limit when yours says miles per hour, and you've got to be reading signs at kilometres per hour and work out how to keep to the speed limits then.
some legal stuff which Em's dug out about carrying dogs or pets really, and parking.
Yep. Helmets on motorcycles.
Yeah.
What you can and cannot have with you. You can't, there's so many different things in the video. So if you really do have the time and you are planning on going to France, please watch the vid and just go make yourself a cuppa, come back and watch it all.
The most important thing is
money
about fuel.
and fuel. And
So
money.
that's, unfortunately, it's a logical order, but it's right near the end.
When you're driving in France, how do you drive? It's not like England, is it?
No, you've got to. You drive on the right, give way to the left.
Is that right?
That's right.
So you drive on the right and give way to the left.
That's the best tip that I can give you.
Anything else?
No.
No?
Beware of the speed limits.
Yeah.
Particularly where in our bus is over 3.5.
3.5 tonne.
Yeah, so we're restricted to the HGV speed limit. It's nearly everywhere. It's on a lot of the roads in France. It's if you're under 3.5 tonne, it's this speed limit. If you're over, it's another.
The thing is, because we're driving UK vehicles, all our speedos and things are in miles per hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how do you get away, get around
I've
that
got,
issue?
I've got an app on my phone, which is, I think it's Speedo Pro. I've got, which allows me to use Google Maps integrated, and I get a pop-up of the speed that I'm doing in kilometres per hour. Although you can change it, but I downloaded it because if you at night when your speedo's lit up, it's great. You can see what kilometres an hour you're doing, and you can get the stickers that have got the conversions. I just find it easier to have, because I'm using Google Maps. I'm looking at my phone anyway, in its phone mount for directions. The speed's on there as well, so it's just it's easy. I think it's 99p, so it works well for us anyway. The biggest one for me is the roundabouts. That's the one that takes you getting your head around. You're concentrating on driving a different country. You don't know where you're going generally. You try to work out speed limits, and on top of that, you're giving way to which to start with seems very unnatural, but very quickly you adapt to it. So there's certain requirements whenever you're driving in Europe, and they vary from country to country. You'll find at Halfords or any driving place, at car place, you'll be able to get a kit. Or if you time it correctly, Aldi do one, and it's got basically the minimum requirements of what you need for driving in the mainland Europe. So as Em was sort of edging towards, it comes with beam deflectors because your headlights are set up for driving on the left and you're now driving on the right. the ones that came in this kit are on the old van, so I had to buy another set. But like I say, this kit does come with the minimum requirements that you need for driving in France, Spain, Portugal. So beam deflectors, it comes with a GB sticker, but our rear number plate has got is an EU standard number plate, so it's got GB on it, so we didn't need that. That again, that's on the old van.
The important thing to remember about the reflective vests is you actually need one per person. Now the kit has one in it.
Depending on which country you're
in France,
in
because
France,
we're talking about France.
So we've got two. I had a high-vis jacket from cycling. So the kit contains beam deflectors, GB sticker, reflective jacket. Something that's peculiar to France is you have to carry two breathalyzers. Now I've just opened this kit and the two breathalyzers are here.
And we're going to keep them sealed in the packet and put them back in the box.
Well, they are out of date.
So he's just now showing you how much of a rebel he is, and the evidence is now on YouTube for everyone to see if he wants to get his arse slapped. I think he likes getting his arse slapped by dropping himself in the gym.
I'm pretty sure the French authorities won't be matching my breathalyzer kit out of date with my number plate and tracking me down.
Who knows?
Emergency bulbs.
Emergency bulbs.
Now, this kit comes with bulbs. Now, the thing is, you need to check whether they actually fit. Now, we've got an extra set of bulbs, so we've got two sets. We've got the one that came with the kit and the ones that we know definitely fit.
They came out the other box.
Yeah, but they fit this. First aid kit.
Which, to me, that's not a first aid kit. That's
But it is, because it's got a first aid kit on it.
It has.
And it meets the minimum requirements that you need to travel in Europe.
I bet that's out of date as well. But I have a first aid kit in the van, and it's pretty big, pretty hefty, nice decent outdoors one. And please stop doing that while I'm talking. Oh, that's Velcro. Anyway, yeah, the ones I've got in the bus, decent outdoors first aid kit. There is actually some use, because in an emergency, short of throwing them at someone or maybe getting a plaster or something, but yeah, you make sure you've got a decent first aid kit with all what you actually need in, because they are useful. And you've got your
warning triangle. It comes in a case, collapses down, so it's of course it all fits nicely into the case, that
the little case, the Aldi case.
Yeah, so that's the result. So
it is.
So you've got everything's together, you know where to go for it, and I just leave it in the front. It also says you should carry your driving licence.
Yeah, there's a bit of a list as well. The other thing I wanted to mention for my biker friends and family is if you come in riding out, make sure that your helmet's in date, because if you've not got a helmet that's compliant with the reflective elements on it, you're gonna get yourself landed with a hefty fine, and apparently they are quite tight on that kind of thing in France, so just be careful, be aware, forewarned, forearmed. So basically, whenever you're anywhere in Europe, especially in France, you want to be carrying with you your V5C document, your passport. He really is asking to get pulled, isn't he? He really is. Passport and your driving licence. Make sure your passport's in date, make sure your driving licence is in date, and all your insurance documents, so make sure you've got a copy of them. Si also likes to add a vehicle check, don't you?
Here's a top tip, which I find I've been stopped very infrequently. been stopped in Portugal, never been stopped in France or Spain. But what you find is if you can readily produce all your documents neatly packaged, then they give it such a cursory look, because if you look organised, they sort of accept that you've got everything. So what I carry,
He usually has it, it's just not in date.
So what I carry is my V5, which we haven't got because it's still with DVLA, but as soon as that comes back to my parents, I'm going to get them to email me a copy and I'll print out. So V5, I keep a copy of my MOT, I do a driving licence check, so you can do it on the government website, and it prints off what classes you're permitted to drive and the dates on it, and my insurance document. So I think that's everything, isn't it? Oh yeah, my insurance document. Yeah, so if you've got everything and you just give it to them, you know, all together, it looks like you're organised, and like I say, they can see straight away that if you look that organised, the chances are that there isn't going to be any problems.
Another thing that I'd not mentioned is it's illegal to wear a headset while driving in France. So if you've got headphones or attached to anything for any reason, like your phone or whatever, you can get in big trouble for it. So make sure you're not wearing a headset unless you've got an integrated headset in your motorcycle helmet, at which point, perfect, you're allowed that, but it must be an integrated headset in your helmet, in your lid. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I mean, no one should drink drive anyway, ever at all, but in France it's actually even lower than it is in the UK. And drivers with less than 3 years of experience of driving who have a lower blood alcohol limit of 0.2 grams per litre, or other drivers with the limit of 0.5 grams, it's basically they will, you'll get in big trouble for that. As you know, we've got a Scooby dog, and dogs in cars or vans, motorhomes included. The law is a little bit sketchy when driving in France and Europe, and depending on the police officer that you get, depends on whether the dog needs to be seat belted or in a
carrier.
In a carrier, yeah, but also
I must say, in right across Europe, they do seem to be dogs seem to be carried in the back of cars, meshed in.
When I have looked into this, and I have tried to see what's what, it states that when your dog is in a car, if it can interfere with the driver in any way or escape from the vehicle in an event of an accident, then you can be fined and you will be in trouble. So people who have had their dogs in behind mesh, in a boot and things, have been fined within the last 6 months. So really the best way to do it is make sure your dog is, or cat, but many dogs, is seat belted and somewhere where they're cool and in the shade. One other thing that I'd found was about parking regulations, and when you're in France, if you stop and park up on a single yellow line, you're going to get in trouble. You can get fined and your car can be towed. They'll take your car off you. if the line's broken, you can stop, but only for unloading or loading your vehicle, but do not park or leave your car unattended on a single yellow line. So
common sense prevails. If you're not sure,
don't do it. What do you find with?
Depends on the weather.
Oh yeah, when it's raining it looks really, really like England.
No, it depends on the weather. If it's there's 2 drives in France, a beautiful drive in the sunshine or a really monotonous, boring drive in the rain. If the weather's not good, it is, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. It's just, I don't know, it seems to go on and on, and yeah, not a lot to write on, but when the weather's decent, it is absolutely beautiful, and the attention to detail is amazing. They don't have, they have very few ugly things, even
everything, even the sides of
lampposts,
sides of the motorway,
bins,
the walls in the motorway.
It's all,
wow.
Everything seems to, pay.
Telegraph poles.
Yeah, there seems to be some sort of detail in everything.
And that's no matter where you are in France, I think.
Yeah, it seems to be.
As we was getting further and further south and nearer to Spain, though, things did start changing, and I found that you get to see less like England, less trees and stuff like England and Scotland, and we managed to see the odd palm tree until you get to right near the border where it's just hammered with tropical trees, vegetation, and everything's pretty but a whole lot more Mediterranean, yeah. How did you find it?
It does change. Well, it's the climate, isn't it? It's as you travel further south, you go different things. So, yeah, it's
like terracotta roofs and things like that. It's like, wow. We fueled up before we got to the ferry. So last port of call before getting on the ferry was the petrol station, and we tanked right up, didn't we?
Yeah.
90 quid.
So on fuel.
We didn't fuel up then till Angoulême.
Yeah, we fueled up once in France. I'm wary of fueling up in France because
it's so expensive.
It's not that. It's fueling up in France should be the easiest thing to do because they're nearly all 24-hour stations. Nearly all 24-hour stations. The problem is if you've got an English card, if you've got I use when I'm travelling a post office travel card, so top up. That doesn't work at the petrol pumps at all. You have to. If you go into a service station, you can pay using that. That's fine. But even my ordinary bank card doesn't work at the 24-hour fuel stations. So for me, we drove along the motorways or the main routes, and we filled up at a service station. We paid more for fuel than we needed to, but it was to make sure that we could actually pay for it after we got it. So it's. I mean, last time I was there, they tried to. One of the 24-hour petrol stations tried to authorise something like €300 for fuel, and my bank declined it, and then I got a phone call about it from the bank. It was like, well, yeah, I am trying to fuel, but I've never put
300 quid in.
I'd have to fill up the back of the bus with diesel to get up to that sort of thing. So it's just one of those things. But things do change when you get across to Spain. It's a lot easier.
That's cheaper. Anyway, so we'd paid like 90 quid in England.
Yeah.
It got us over to across like what 3/4 of France really.
We filled up
to
once in France.
Angoulême, and then we didn't need to fill up again till we hit Spain.
But we
So
were well into Spain.
really, some good advice I think would be to top up. Make sure you're topped up, and if possible, keep the euros with you in an emergency envelope ready for if your card doesn't work or any issues like that. But yeah, other than that, France is beautiful, and there's so many cool places to go. There's so many cool things to see. If it wasn't such a pain with petrol stations and cards and things, then I would love to spend more time in France exploring and seeing all the things. And one of the reasons I don't want to go to Paris is because they have an extra charge when you're driving in Paris for, I think it's like a congestion charge or something like that. But yeah, it's like France is a lovely place and very pretty, but unfortunately because of these issues, it's one of them places where you make the most of your drive on the way through it, and go and explore Spain instead.
I disagree slightly because up until now my endpoint's always been Portugal, so France has been something you got to drive through. I think the fueling up and that is, if you were going to spend any amount of time there, it's something you find solutions to. But again, for us, we were going to Portugal, so it was a pass through, but we didn't just hammer it straight through. We stopped in a few places.
Hammering it does eat your fuel as well though, so it's nice to find a decent speed and just go through. Well, yeah, I think that's us for driving in France, and we'll see you again in the new video. Bye.